social media is the new name for the internet.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the future in the next few years?
I think there's going to be more and more wearable tech, but the fundamental principle will never change, and that's telling your story and being authentic. And the more people realize that it's all about authentic relationships, the more successful they'll continue to be.
You work with a lot of small companies as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Mid-sized companies. So do you think that it's always a better idea for the owner or the founder to be the brand ambassador on social media because he's more, I don't know, connected to the brand? Are you often faced with a situation like this to say who should be the face of your business online?
Yes.
Yeah.
Often. And sometimes the person that thinks that they should be may not be.
How do you tell them that, you know what, I think you're better off as
I had this great phrase. I said, you have a face for radio.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
So sometimes it's been me. So I've ended up being the voice of the company, or I've been the model customer telling people about the business.
Right.
Whatever it takes, we'll make it happen.
Once you've done these ads with them and told them what to do, and those ads come out with great video and all of that, how do you test which ad is working, or do you retest? Do you keep on, if it's not working, do you see the numbers and go back?
Sure. Well, we get very technical around the physical testing, but to begin with, what we do is we go to the personal side of Facebook and we'll come up with A, B, or C.
Sure.
And then to get audience engagement prior to the release, I'll say, these are three of the pieces that we put together. Which one resonates with you? Which one do you think captures the company? So we had a bunch of buy-in from their audience before we even release it.
Jonathan, tell me, what do you think about, like large brands do this very successfully. Let's not directly sell, let's just make a show around our product.
Yes.
Or it could be a comedy show, funny drama or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about that idea?
I love the idea.
Yeah.
And people need to have a real handle on where this is going to go. But the spontaneity and the idea behind it, suddenly when you start to get this idea of what that might look like, and suddenly the whole energy in the company changes.
Right.
Because everybody's bought into this concept. I was in the Rocky Mountains last week in a city called Fernie, which is one of the best hipster ski joints in British Columbia. And when I met all of the workforce, all of these guys from South Africa, England, Australia, they're all woodworking craftsmen, but they came to Fernie for skiing. There's this whole Fernie vibe that was in the workshop with all these cool expats from all over the world. And suddenly it's like, it's not just about the doors that you make, it's about all the people that have been like a magnet.
Right.
So our strategy there is to sort of show this international workforce that are so passionate about living in Fernie and the quality of life that just exudes into the materials that they work with, because they just love what they do and they're passionate. So it's finding that story behind the business.
That's making it interesting, that's giving you more views, more engagement, more of everything, but not necessarily the ROI instantly.
Sometimes when I work with a client and the first thing they said to me is, what's my ROI on this? I'm almost like, I'm not sure I'm the right person for you. Because this is a long-term game. And really what we're working towards is ROR, which is return on relationship that Ted Rubin talks about so much. And more people become more comfortable with the brand just because of who they are, so that when they do need to buy, and some of our clients, it's a long-term sell. I mean, if you're putting in a custom kitchen, 7 to 15 year cycle of sales.
Would you also suggest some businesses and you tell them that you might not get a direct sale here, but when somebody's coming to check out a review or something on Facebook, and they come out to your Facebook page, because then they're able to see the common friends that you have, and if you don't have your A game there, then you're surely losing out on a sale.
Oh, completely. The stats are showing now sort of 75 to 85% of people now trust an endorsement through social media. So if you're looking for a big ticket item or anything like that, if you're not being referred to already, you're going to have way less chance of doing it. And then when they do find you, I always say you've got to be well found and you've got to be found well. And that found well is the reviews, the recommendations, a great social media presence, a really good blog that's educating and paying it forward. They don't all have to be stellar, because I would rather they weren't all 100% 5 stars, but if they're real, then people will go that. I had a true story. A client quite recently had a really bad review on Google. And he hadn't done anything wrong. Somebody had come into his showroom, wasn't happy with the level of service because the showroom was full. A few months later, he's doing a kitchen on quite a remote location. And I said, how did you land that kitchen? He went, I should have asked. So next time they're there doing the install, she said, I'm kind of curious, what made you pick our company? She said, well, I went to Google, I read your reviews, and there was one really bad one. And she said, what made the difference was you responded to this guy and said, we're really sorry you felt that way. I've owned my business for 22 years. This is how I do all of my business, relationally. And I'm really upset that we didn't serve you the way we could have done. And I do hope you come back. This lady read that and went, that's the guy I want to build my kitchen.
So social media, reputation management, SEO, pay-per-click.
Yep.
And then, making sure your devices, your website is working on all devices, and, it's opening in lightning fast speed. And if the creative need to be changed, or if it's Christmas or whatever, then the creative change, all of that.
Yep.
How do you manage all of that?
There's two things that we do as an agency. One is we have a number of clients that are done for you, and we've known them, we've gotten to know them very well. They've invested in us, so we get to know what we call their business DNA. So when we get to know them really well, if he called me tomorrow and said, I have a trade show and I'm sick, I could be at his trade show. So we know them that well. So when we do that, it's not too hard to project manage the seasons. But generally what I'm finding now is that coaching programs that we've put together this year have been very much geared towards how we do it for other businesses, so that businesses can do it for themselves. Mm-hmm. And you've got to calendarize. You pin a post on Facebook now, it stays there until you unpin it. It used to be 7 days. It's exciting, and it's not static. And if anything, the thing that changes the least is your website. But the social media and the blog is really what's making the difference between that interaction and engagement between people. So this is my grandfather, Arthur Summers Christian, with his business way back. We think this is probably about 1948. And this is my dad nice. at a trade show. And then when my dad turned 21, he got his license and started driving with my dad, delivering fuel in small measures. And that time it was AS Christian, and became AS Christian and Son. And then I joined my dad's business when I was 16 and worked for him until we sold it back in 1989. So
oh, wow.
Third generation oil business that I was brought up in. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. So you're an entrepreneur
from way back.
By DNA?
When I was 6 or 7 and our phone would ring at home because we had a home office, I would run to the phone to pick it up because I wanted to talk to whoever it was.
Yeah, of course.
And I was taking oil orders in my little chicken scratch, and my dad was like, who was this? Oh. And I said, I don't know, but he was very nice, but he was so happy that apparently that was sales,
Of course.
Lots of little history vignettes that go on in my work.
And from all of this to social media.
From all of this is social media. It's still about storytelling, right?
It's still about storytelling.
Always about telling a story, whether it's, going to Brands Hatch and being in a paddock club and watching Eddie Jordan have breakfast, in the factory, or, I learned to drive a truck when I was 21, and I was driving an oil tanker and I have a heavy goods vehicle license to do that. To our middle daughter Ellen, she did some exploring and found YWAM and moved to Whitsundays in Australia, which is a beautiful place to live.
I believe so, yeah.
And she's been just over 3 years now.
And what was your reaction when she came to you with this decision? Because you've been an entrepreneur all your life.
I know, and that's a thing. But we always had this philosophy with our kids, what we call roots and wings, so that we have given them those solid roots. They know who they are. They know what they're gifted at. They know their passion. And we've done a lot of time into our kids so that they really know who they are. And then the wings piece comes along, which is pretty much like, okay, now you know who you are and you know what your gift is. How are you going to use it? Gemma loves, our eldest daughter loves entertaining. She loves the fine detail of life. And she's a chief steward on a private super yacht. Ellen loves people, especially lost people, as Maddie does too. And she's a missionary, and Maddie's just graduated this year. She's not quite sure what she's going to do yet,
right?
But I know it'll be big.
Wow.
So we just have to let go, and it's not easy to do that. But because of social media, they're never very far away.
Yeah,
we're always in touch with them no matter where they are, and that's cool. A lot of people don't know this, but I trained to be a pastor in the Church of England.
Is that right?
So just
over
over here,
God, you are the multifaceted JC.
Is my bishop certificate of preaching. I did that started in 1990, and I ran that through right till 2001 when I moved to Canada. So for a number of years, I actually was the pastor of our church.
Oh, wow.
Part-time and had a full-time career.
Now, how much of you being an entrepreneur throughout and traveling across the world, and you were in England before you moved to Canada,
yeah.
And obviously you and your whole family are all about giving and the church, and how much does that nature of yours translate into your business?
As a fundamental philosophy, 100%. I mean, some people I deal with, I mean, I have a Christian faith, and that's not for everybody. But everybody wants to be good to people.
Right.
And certain people I work with are energy healers, or they have a whole different modality of the universe than perhaps I would share. But I respect everybody's perspective. But really when it comes down to it, and I always sort of, no matter who it is, I always look like, how can I help this person? Whether they're going to pay me or not. And obviously we love to get paid.
Sure.
But when business grows, you don't worry so much about that. You're just looking for people that are a fit, that the personalities work together, and you can help them get to where they want to get to. My talk always starts about how I got my Twitter account and what the 3 children of ours, grown girls, are now doing. And family values are everything to me. Everything else, is a pale comparison to what we've done to create 3 human beings and just bless them to put it out. Wow. But I see that, so many of my clients I think of as family. People just love the fact that we've been successful and they can share in that.
Right.
So a lot of the stories that I tell are no bragging rights whatsoever. It's just to share the blessing of something different. People just really enjoy our journey because of the different places that I take those videos from.
Of course.
And that inspires people.
And like I said, like I told you when I met you the first and the second time, was that why I've been following your videos is because they're very happy. They've got a good vibe to it, So it's one of my happy videos that I go through.
Oh, there's so much negativity in the world. We really don't need any more.
Yeah.
No.
I always, people are like, what does your dad do? And I'm like, that's actually one of the hardest questions you can ask me. Like, you can ask me what I'm doing, anything. What does your dad do? It's like, well, it depends on who you are, Like, it depends on what you need. Because it doesn't matter if he knows how to do it, he'll learn. But I always end it with like, well, you know what? My dad's just kind of a mentor when it comes down to it. Because I always feel like he goes into these businesses and he doesn't just say, this is how you do Facebook, toodaloo. Like, he's like, hey, this is how you do Facebook, but let's talk about your life. Like, I can see it when he meets his clients and stuff. It's not, hey, how was that sale? It was like, hey, how's your daughter? Like, it's just like, it's a different form of connection in marketing. It's not, this is our product. This is my family using this product, and like, I promise you it's genuine, Like, that's the difference I find nowadays.
Tell me, how did social media happen for you?
In late 2007, Maddie and I, my youngest, were in a very bad car accident.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
I badly herniated a disc in my neck. I lost the use of my right arm, and it was just numb.
You lost the use of your right arm totally?
Well, it was completely numb. I mean, it would move around, but I had no weight, I had no strength, no feeling in it, and it was just my whole tricep nerve. I could trace it because it was numb.
And your daughter was okay?
She did a lot better than I did out of the accident. And the upshot was I needed to have a disc replaced in the back of my neck. So I actually have a titanium discs in my neck now. I look like the Terminator on an X-ray. So at this point I had a mortgage, 3 children in private Christian school, a car payment, and a business with no income. Because most of my traditional business at that point was all referral. Responsive websites hadn't really happened. There was no Facebook business pages, but there was Twitter and LinkedIn. So I invested my time in building those relationships virtually because I couldn't travel. I couldn't meet people. And the more I started to do that, the more I enjoyed it, because my personality was just coming through. And I started writing a blog, and I called it my social media challenge. Because for most people in their 40s, social media was very alien, it wasn't natural. And before I knew it, I was writing for different e-zines, and I suddenly started to build quite a following. I had all the time in the world. So I invested in every single platform. And before I knew it, I'd started to become known as the social media guy. And let's just say the rest is history.
My friends are all big fans. He's a cool dad. He's famous on Snapchat. So
how many dads are famous on Snapchat? So it is something to be proud of.
Every day, like I have people, they don't care what I'm doing. And if they don't see my dad, they will not watch them. But if they see my dad, I get like way more interaction. Because people are like, your dad's so funny. So the other day I Facebook Live him dancing, and I just put on my Snapchat and like, go watch my Facebook. Because I was so tired of people being like, when's your dad gonna put on dance videos again?
I see you in most of the videos as well. So how does that keep you busy?
Oh, well, I'm more behind the scenes, so I'm not like, because he's so outgoing and I'm more introverted, so I'm just kind of in the background really, aren't I? Well, yeah.
But there's many times I have a great idea, and I'll run it by Deborah, and she'll just go, no. And there was a time, it's like, no, hey, I got it. And I've learned that every time that my son says yes and her son says no, I just stop. You know, I literally just like, if she says no, I'm not even gonna argue.
That's the secret to a successful marriage or a successful business.
Both.
When when the wife says it's not a good idea, just go with it.
The other thing with a good business or marriage too is that, you know, when you're strong and somebody else isn't, it's rare that you're both at rock bottom at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I tell you know, I went through a lot of stuff, both in my head and in my body, sort of through that accident. And you were super strong. You kept the family together. You're working at the church, and you were our only income for quite some time. And that was, I still to this day wonder how we managed to get through it, but we did, and we're so much stronger and better for that. And
well, we were kind of opposites in a lot of ways. You know, we're opposites in personality and even the way we view things. And that's kind of good. It's interesting, you know.
Of
you
course.
look at things one way and I'll come in with a completely different way of looking at it. And I think that's kind of, it balances out. So that's been kind of cool. And with our business, it's just like we do love to travel. And we're at a point now where we can travel, and as long as we've got Wi-Fi, we can still work. And that's kind of cool.
Of course.
It just gives us this incredible freedom. I mean, yeah, he works a lot of hours and he works 7 days a week most of the time, but then we see our other friends who are in like a 9-to-5 office job, and it's like we have freedom that they don't.
Right.
In a lot of ways. That's
Oh, of
really
course.
Cool.
so we call them workcations.
Yeah.
I don't know how we made payments some months, but you know, I go to church and somebody brushed past me and I put my hand in my jacket pocket and there'd be an envelope full of cash.
Are you
And
serious?
it's like, where did that come from?
So how many countries do you work in? How do you manage? You know, and what kind of clients can, you know, watching this? Because our aim is to introduce you to Asian audiences across the world.
What I love about being able to deal with people virtually, I still love to webcam and see their eyes and talk to them. I have several clients in the UK still, obviously. We've had 2 great clients now in Australia. And I just have to keep looking at my iPhone to remember what time it is in Brisbane.
Sure.
Or what time it is in London. And then we work it through. And what I'm finding now is my calendar is fully available to my clients, and they just pick when they want to meet, and I put the spectrum of when I'm available.
What app do you use for that? Calendly?
I just use, it's called Vcita, V-C-I-T-A, it's on my website, and they just grab the slot. Or if we're deep into something, we'll have a recurring meeting every week or every other day or something anyway. And then, because I work from home and I deliberately choose to do that, so I can be flexible with the family. You know, I'll come in here and we'll have a 9 p.m. meeting, or in fact, when you and I met and you very kindly joined our VIP program.
Right.
You got up at what, 2 in the morning?
2 in the morning, yes.
To speak to us from Delhi? I mean, that was so kind of you.
So what about your team? You know, how big is it? How many people can you?
Yeah, so we call it a tribe rather than a team deliberately. And right now we're at 26 people.
That's a big tribe.
Yeah, and everybody is the very best that I know in what they do. So Paige does website updates, and she does a lot of content writing for some of our clients as well. And then whatever I've got going on in my brain, I just throw it at Paige, and suddenly she'll turn it up into a graphic. What I did, the University of the Fraser Valley is close by, and they have a graphic art course, and they have an open house where all the students get to have like a trade show booth. It's called Creative Woods.
Yes, that's right.
So I went to it with a view to hiring somebody out of this career fair, but they did not know that. This was on the Thursday afternoon. By Saturday morning from Paige, I had a full proposal of ideas that she had for our website and her portfolio, and a beautiful PDF letter of application if we were ever hiring, you know, what she would like to do for us as a company, and she was hired the next day.
It was such a great opportunity, and I'm just really super grateful to be working here because I'm really passionate about this kind of stuff. Like, I genuinely enjoy what I do, and I like taking his great ideas and turning them into something really striking visually.
This is kind of like our co-working space, which is also our family kitchen, but that's how it works.
What's the best way to get in touch with you for their project?
Yeah, so WeMakeStuffHappen.com is the website. #MakeStuffHappen. One of the two will always find us.
Right.
And then my phone, I have notifications set for pretty much most of the platforms that I use. So whether it's even a Snapchat direct message, an Instagram direct message, Facebook, most of my business comes through Facebook Messenger now.
Oh, excellent.
And then, of course, there's the phone and email, go figure. So I created 3 different levels of coaching pretty much over the Christmas period. So I have an inner circle, a mastermind, and a VIP. And the inner circle gets a great nugget once a month. The mastermind gets it every week, but that's all they get. Whereas the VIP gets it every week, and they get a piece of me and my team.
Okay.
So very much a 26-week curriculum that we wrote earlier this year that we're starting to recycle and release again in the fall. And it's all the things people need. So it's not super technical, but it's not basic either. So it's really everything through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and blogging are the areas that we really specialize with businesses. And then I bring different tribe members in to teach. When I have 16 people on a screen and I'm interacting with them,
of course, I can
that
imagine
vibe
that.
is fantastic.
I can imagine that.
And that's where we're going.